the port expansion project, particularly the construction of the mining dock related to the integrated phosphate project. The Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Azouz Nasri, has called or recalled the Saqiyat Sidi Youssef event marking the treacherous colonial attack that targeted unarmed civilians, leaving innocent martyrs from both Algeria and Tunisia. UNICEF has warned against the dramatic deterioration of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, highlighting that thousands of children were facing extremely fragile and deadly conditions. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, Prime Minister Fifrey has arrived in the eastern province of Annaba as part of a working visit aimed at assessing the progress made in the port expansion project, particularly the construction of the mining dock related to the integrated phosphate project. A statement from the Prime Minister's office indicated that Mr. Riyeb was accompanied on this visit today by the Ministers of State and Mine, the Minister of State and Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, the Minister of the Interior, Local Authorities and Transport, Said Sayoud, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Abdel Qadir Jilawi, the Minister of Industry, Yahya Bashir, and the Minister of War, Veterans and Right Holders, Abdel Malik Tashrif. The visit is part of the implementation of the instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, regarding the need to accelerate the construction of the mining dock within the port expansion project, given its strategic importance in supporting the national phosphate sector, enhancing the port's capacity to receive large shipments, and improving the flow of exports to global markets. The Vehicle Industry Development Establishment, operating under the Directorate of Military Manufacturers of the Ministry of National Defense, has received a new shipment of 134 buses at the Port of Algiers. The delivery comes as part of the implementation of the program of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, which provides for the importation of 10,000 new buses intended to renew the national passenger transport fleet. As part of the execution of the President's program and under the personal supervision of the Army General, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense and Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, a new shipment of 134 buses of various types was received on Friday. These buses are part of a total of 6,800 buses to be acquired from foreign partners from the People's Republic of China and the Federal Republic of Germany. The reception operations for the remaining quantity of buses will continue over the coming days, as stated.
As part of the implementation of the President of the Republic's program, the Directorate of Military Industries of the Ministry of National Defense, via the Automotive Industry Development Company at the Port of Algeria Construction, received the second shipment of 134 buses of various types out of 6,800 buses that will be received from foreign partners, namely the People's Republic of China and the Federal Republic of Germany. The process of receiving the remaining quantity is expected to continue during the coming days.
The President of the Constitutional Court, Leila Aslawi, is taking part in Cairo in the 9th high-level meeting of African Constitutional Court Presidents, Supreme Courts and Constitutional Councils. Her participation alongside members of the Constitutional Court comes at the invitation of Egypt's Supreme Constitutional Court President, Poulos Fahmy Iskander. Discussions focus mainly on challenges facing constitutional justice in Africa, including judicial independence, technological and artificial intelligence challenges, and the limits of constitutional jurisdiction. Algeria will present a research paper highlighting its national experience. The Minister of Youth in charge of the High Council for Youth, Mustafa Hidawi, has emphasized in the western province of Oran that the involvement of Algerian youth in diplomatic work is part of a strategic national vision launched in 2022. This vision aims to make young people key partners in building the new Algeria and strengthening its presence on the international stage. In a speech delivered at the opening today of the third edition of the Youth Diplomacy Forum, Mr. Hidawi indicated that the focus on youth diplomacy stemmed from extensive consultations with young people, which revealed a growing awareness of the importance of participating in international fora and defending national and just causes, such as the Palestinian and Sahrawi ones. He highlighted that this approach is a natural extension of the legacy of the youth of the War of Liberation, who combined armed struggle with diplomatic efforts to achieve independence. Algeria has initiated the necessary procedures for denouncing the convention relating to air services between the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria and the United Arab Emirates, signed in Abu Dhabi on May 13, 2013, and ratified by presidential decree on December 30, 2014. According to the provisions of Article 22 of the said convention, the denunciation must be notified through diplomatic channels to the Emirati contracting party, with some simultaneous notification to the Secretary General of the International Civil Aviation Organization for the completion of the required formalities with that organization. The Speaker of the Council of the Nation, Aziz Nasri, has recalled the Saqid Sidi Youssef events marking the treacherous colonial attack that targeted unarmed civilians, leaving innocent martyrs from both Algeria and Tunisia. In a tweet posted on his personal account on X platform, Mr. Nasri said that the Saqid Sidi Youssef massacre was one of the most heinous crimes of French colonialism, a crime against humanity that cannot be forgotten. It is enduring memory where Algerian and Tunisian blood mixed, affirming the unity of destiny and struggle. The Saqid Sidi Youssef massacre, whose 68th anniversary will be celebrated tomorrow, Sunday, remains one of the most tragic crimes committed by French colonial forces and a powerful symbol of Algerian-Tunisian solidarity. On February 8, 1958, French warplanes bombed the border village during Market Day, killing nearly 79 civilians, including women and children, and injuring more than 130 others. The attack targeted civilians accused of supporting the Algerian National Liberation Army. Historians say the massacre exposed the brutality of colonial rule to international opinion and helped strengthen global support for Algeria's independence struggle. The event is commemorated annually by both Algeria and Tunisia to honor the victims and reaffirm ties of solidarity between the two brotherly peoples. To the Middle East now, where the UNICEF has warned against the dramatic deterioration of the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, highlighting that thousands of children were facing extremely fragile and deadly conditions. It affirmed that the children in Gaza were still confronted to the Israeli airstrikes amid a context of a virtually total collapse of the health systems, as well as a difficult access to water and education. The UN organization denounced the international community's incapacity to protect the most vulnerable populations and called for the opening of humanitarian corridors to allow the funneling of humanitarian aid. This came as the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Aid, OCHA, once again called for the respect of the international law and for the protection of the civilian population in Gaza. It said that the UN continued supporting the evacuation of Palestinians via the crossing point of Rafah bordering Egypt to receive medical care. In this respect, UNRWA affirmed that reopening the crossing of Rafah only for people without allowing the funneling of humanitarian aid would not help put an end to the humanitarian humanitarian situation which is worsening in Gaza. Addressing a press conference in New York, UNRWA spokesman Jonathan Foley said that although the humanitarian situation slightly improved during last summer, it remained very limited as children are suffering from hunger and diseases continue to spread. Asked about the deteriorating living conditions of the Palestinian, UNRWA's media advisor Adnan Abu Hassan said that the humanitarian situation remains precarious as the funneling of medical supplies and products is confronted to tremendous problems.
The humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip remains precarious. Israel prevents thousands of UNRWA trucks from entering the Gaza Strip. The aid contains foodstuff that will suffuse the strip for 3 months, in addition to hundreds of thousands of tents, blankets, clothes, and medicines that will cover large swaths in the Gaza Strip. There are hundreds of thousands of patients in the Gaza Strip, including 20,000 Palestinians, who need urgent medical evacuation to undergo surgeries that are not available in the Gaza Strip. There are tremendous problems related to products funneled. There are still hundreds of thousands of type of foodstuffs and medical equipment, as well as spare parts for desalination plants and sewage systems. Most of Gaza residents still drink unclean water. There is a lack of shelter, a huge lack of tents and mobile homes.
In another development now, Iran and the United States have agreed to carry on their negotiations at the end of their first round of indirect talks held in Muscat, Oman. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi was quoted by the state television as saying that the talk took place in a very positive atmosphere, during which the two sides exchanged views, underlining that the modalities and agenda of the negotiations have yet to be confirmed. In this respect, he said he hoped the United States would abstain from any threats or pressures so that the talks could continue. According to the news agency IRNA, the diplomacy chief indicated that the Iranian-US discussions should exclusively focus on the nuclear issue. It is worth recalling that negotiations were held nearly 1 year ago between the two countries, but were frozen on account of the Israeli attack on Iran in June 2025. The head of the African Union Commission, Mohamedou Ali Yusuf, has condemned the attack perpetrated against the Kisangani airport in the northern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He denounced the attack that was later on claimed by the Congo River Rebel Alliance CRI as a terrorist act, saying that no military, security or political reason could justify such action targeting the civilian population and infrastructure. And at least 24 people, including 8 children, were killed today in an attack by the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, on a bus carrying displaced people in Sudan's North Kordofan state. The Sudan's Doctors Network, which monitors the ongoing armed conflict in the country, said the attack took place near the town of Al Rahad while the bus was carrying people who had fled fighting in the Dubaikar region of the same state, adding that 2 infants were among the victims. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned in the strongest terms the Friday's attack against a mosque in the Pakistani capital Islamabad, which left over 30 people dead and more than 169 others wounded. For its part, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, also strongly condemned the terrorist attack that targeted a mosque in Islamabad, Pakistan, which left 31 people dead and scores of others wounded. And with this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin. We leave you now with our programs, and we'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Tamanrasset is a town located in the southern part of Algeria that is also the administrative capital of Tamanrasset province, the largest province in the country. Large it may be, but vast areas of Tamanrasset province are virtually uninhabited. One might say that Tamanrasset is the poster child for desert oasis everywhere. Outside the duty but well-ordered town of Tamanrasset, with its signature red houses, desert wastes of the magnificent Sahara stretch for miles in any direction. It is for this reason that Tamanrasset has long been a vital rest stop for ancient caravans and desert traders. The town's importance to Algeria was demonstrated by the fact that the paved Trans-Sahara Highway goes through Tamanrasset, and travelers on the north-south route often stop at the town. Contrary to most people's impressions, the Sahara is much more than a great sea of sand dunes. One of the Earth's largest dune fields, the Grand Erg, stretches for many miles to the east and west of Tamanrasset. Immense waves of shifting sand, with crests up to 15 feet high, march across the desert under a baking sun. Tourists who visit the area are forewarned to bring sunscreen, protective clothing, and of course, a supply of drinking water when they set out to explore the dunes. Temperatures in and around Tamanrasset are among the highest in the world, often exceeding 100 degrees in the shade. Thirsty travelers who reach Tamanrasset after a long, sun-baked journey certainly appreciate the fresh fruit breads, and well water available in the town. The majority ethnic group in and around Tamanrasset are the Tuareg, a mainly nomadic people who have learned to survive, even thrive, in the harsh conditions of the Sahara. Masters of the camel and caravan, the Tuareg still seek to maintain their ancient culture and nomadic ways in the face of the modern influences of the 21st century. As such, the population of Tamanrasset fluctuates according to the season. When rains moisten the thin soils of the rugged Ahagar and Tedmate plateaus, the Tuareg tribesmen and their families graze goats and camels on the fields of grass, then return to Tamanrasset with milk, cheese, and meat to trade in the marketplace or kasbah. Visitors to Tamanrasset will find the people to be friendly and accommodating. Through the pride they take in the culture and customs is obvious. Generally, the Tuareg of Algeria are of Berber descent, but being a Tuareg is not limited to a certain race or family tree. As long as the lifestyle, traditions, and language are accepted, people are seen as Tuareg. Living mostly in the West African regions with nomadic tribe of the Sahara, once traveled the desert in great numbers, but after invasions and wars, they have been reduced to small groups scattered across the sandy hills of the unforgiving deserts. At the start of the 17th century, Arabs started moving into the coastal regions of Algeria, pushing the Tuareg into the Sahara Desert. There were approximately 3 million Tuareg at this time, who took on the role as trans-Saharan camel traders, traveling across the desert plains from one destination to the next. Setting up tents along the way, the caravans of camels and tribe members were a common sight on the ever-changing landscape of the Sahara Desert. The Tuareg are still known for camel trading, but have also evolved into camel breeders and blacksmiths. Their crafted swords, jewelry, leatherwork, and metal craft have become sought-after items. There have even been exhibitions of their works, such as the art of being Tuareg at the Stanford Cantal Arts Center, displaying swords, amulets, drums, tresses, saddles, and tents. Traditional Tuareg music can still be heard at festivals and events, but bands like Tinariwin have added a few modern instruments and have brought their genre of music to the modern world. Even though music is known about the Tuareg today, they still remain a mysterious part of Algeria's culture and the nomads of the Great Sahara Desert.
To travel back in time and learn about the most prominent events that marked human history, no need for a time machine. Echoes of Time with our colleague Mariam Bershi is your only address. A program broadcast to you every week on Radio Algeria International.
Welcome to Echoes of Time, the program where we travel across centuries to uncover the defining moments that shaped human civilization. I'm your host, Mariam Bershi, and and today we are stepping into the Yamato period of Japanese history, spanning roughly from the 3rd to the 7th centuries. This era is a cornerstone of Japan's history, marking the transition from fragmented tribal societies to a unified political state under the rule of the Yamato clan. It is a time when myth meets history and the foundations of modern Japan were laid. Let's begin our journey back in time. To understand the Yamato period, let's first set the stage. Before this era, Japan was a land of independent clans, or uji, each controlling their own territories. These clans worshipped their own local kami, or spirits, and had no central authority to unite them. The rise of the Yamato clan changed everything. Based in what is now Nara Prefecture, the Yamato clan gained power through a combination of military strength, alliances, and control over fertile agricultural lands. By the 4th century, they had established dominance over other clans in the region. What gave the Yamato clan their unique authority was their claim to divine lineage. They asserted that their rulers were direct descendants of Amaterasu, the Shinto sun goddess. This claim not only legitimized their rule, but also helped them unify disparate tribes under a single spiritual and political framework. During the Yamato period, the rulers didn't rely solely on divine claims to maintain power. They were also skilled diplomats and military strategists. One of the Yamato state's most effective strategies was forming alliances with other powerful clans. Marriage was a key tool in this process. By intermarrying with other uji, the Yamato rulers solidified their influence and created a network of loyalty that extended across much of central and western Japan. But alliances were not always peaceful. The Yamato state often used military force to subdue rival clans. Evidence from coffin tombs, which contain weapons and armor, suggests that warfare was a common part of life during this period. By the 5th century, the Yamato rulers had established themselves as the central authority in Japan, with other clans recognizing their supremacy. This marked the beginning of Japan's first unified state. One of the defining features of the Yamato period was Japan's growing interaction with the Asian continent, particularly with China and Korea. These relationships were instrumental in shaping the Yamato state. From Korea, the Yamato rulers adopted critical technologies such as iron tools, advanced agricultural techniques, and horse-riding skills. These innovations not only improved productivity, but also strengthened their military capabilities. From China, the Yamato rulers received even greater influence. By the 5th century, Japanese envoys were traveling to Chinese courts, and Chinese culture began to leave its mark on Japan. One of the most significant imports was the Chinese writing system. The introduction of kanji revolutionized governance by allowing the Yamato rulers to record laws, communicate more effectively, and strengthen their administration. Imagine the transformative impact of writing. For the first time, the Yamato state could issue decrees and record history, establishing a sense of continuity and structure that unified their people. Another major influence was Buddhism, which arrived in Japan from the Korean kingdom of Baekje in the mid-6th century. Initially met with resistance, it was eventually embraced by the Yamato rulers as a means of enhancing their prestige and aligning themselves with continental powers. Buddhism would go on to play a central role in Japanese culture, but during the Yamato period it coexisted with Shinto, the indigenous belief system. This blend of traditions became a hallmark of Japanese spirituality. The Yamato period is often referred to as the coffin era, named after the massive burial mounds built for the elite. These tombs, shaped like keyholes, are some of the most iconic symbols of this era. The largest coffin, the Daisen Euro coffin, is believed to be the resting place of Emperor Nintoku. Measuring over 500 meters in length, it's one of the largest tombs in the world. What makes these tombs remarkable isn't just their size, but what they tell us about the Yamato rulers. The scale of the coffin demonstrates the Yamato state's control over labor and resources, while the grave goods inside reveal a society with strong connections to both local and foreign cultures. Surrounding these tombs were haniwa, terracotta figures shaped like warriors, animals and houses. These figures served ritual purposes and give us a fascinating glimpse into life during this time. By the late 6th century, the Yamato state began to evolve. The adoption of Buddhism and increased contact with China brought about significant changes in governance and society. The most transformative moment came in 645 with the Taika reforms. These reforms, inspired by Chinese models, aimed to centralize power under the emperor and restructure land ownership to weaken the influence of powerful clans. This marked the end of the Yamato period and the beginning of the Asuka period, during which Japan's first imperial government truly took shape. But the Yamato period's legacy is undeniable. It was the era that gave Japan its first unified state, its imperial